Sam's Garage has been bringing you valuable tips and techniques for years. Master mechanic Sam Madavi is well known for successfully completing hundreds of engine swaps, turbo and supercharger installs, and high-performance engine builds. Sam will share his expertise in automotive diagnostics, saving you time and money. Straight talk and honest advice here on Sam's Garage, presented by Low Car Performance Products.
If there is any Jeep out there worthy of a Nitro Gear LSD center section along with their gear set, it's going to be Lance's. We supercharged this Jeep last year. This thing's got 37-inch tall, 12-inch wide, 22-inch wheels. I love the way this thing looks, but it's a serious Jeep. He's ready to go off the trails and off-road, got no doors, drives it like this 24 hours a day. So I've got Carl here with me from Nitro Gear, and we're going to be showing you guys the proper way to install a center section, shim it correctly, get your gears set up correctly, and install a set of 456 gears. Now we've already gone ahead and drained the center section of the gear oil. We took the drive shaft off, zip tied it to the subframe. We went ahead and removed our axles, getting our brakes out of the way, and don't forget guys, you don't want to break your ABS sensor and have to buy a new one, so pull them out as well, getting them out of your way, right?
That's correct.
So what do we got next?
This is a semi-float type axle, but It does use a bolt in, so there's no clips in the center for the shafts. So there's just 4 3/4-inch bolts. We're going to undo those and we'll pry the carrier out.
Let's do it.
See what we got. One note about these when you're going to pull the caps off is you're going to want to mark them. This is a Dana axle, so they actually come pre-marked, but a lot of axles don't, so that's just something to be cautious of.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
They got to go back on the same way.
When I take them off, I usually, if they're not marked, I'll put them to the passenger and driver's side.
So there should be preload on the carrier, so it shouldn't just fall out. There you go, a little bit of preload on there. So the pinion's a tight fit because you got the splines on the yoke and the outer bearing. It looks like this one's actually a little loose because I can see it starting to come out. See, we just pulled it out. Generally, it won't fall out that easily. So since we've got the full master install kit, we'll go ahead and pop these the pinion seal out and the pinion races.
Okay.
They're tight fit in the housing, so what we're going to do is use like a brass punch or some sort of a drift to knock the races out. It's spinning right, there we go. So when you're driving out this inner race here in the housing, on a lot of rear ends there's actually shims behind the pinion that are used to set the pinion depth. Those will help us when we go back together with the new parts. On this one, it's actually pressed on under the bearing, so we don't have to worry about it, but it's just good to know to be on the lookout for that stuff. So this is the Nitro Gear bearing puller set. It's got multiple size clamshells and a push tool and a threaded rod, and it'll basically what that does is lets us pull carrier bearings, pinion bearings, and some other type bearings and be able to reuse them. So we take the bearing race, we put it back on the bearing. We've got this push tool. It goes a couple different ways. We look at which size will fit and allow the bearing to come off over it, so this direction looks pretty good. And then we've got these clamshells are different sizes, and we want to use, you know, the tightest ones. It looks like the smallest one will fit pretty good there. I take this, I thread it down so that it's flush up against the bearing. And we thread the adjusting ring down to where the clamshell fits over it, just snug, so it's not real loose.
Okay.
So this will hold it together. Take the impact gun. Yeah, it's gonna squirt us a little bit.
There we go.
Okay. So then,
that is so much easier than a press.
and how easy is that?
I mean, you got to set it up on the press, you got to use the tool, you got to have someone hold it for you, it may fall on your foot.
And then check this out. We pulled the bearing right off. We could reuse this bearing. Perfectly good still.
Cool.
So, I mean, that'll pay for itself in
Yeah.
just a few differentials that you work on, and definitely with the time you save.
Sam's Garage, presented by Low Car Performance Products, is brought to you by Low Car. Quality, plain and simple. Heart of Appalachia, Virginia is for lovers. Rod and Supply. We don't just sell them, we race them. H-E&M Saw, the saw that cuts straight.
The what we're doing here is there's 4 critical areas of setting up a differential. There's the pinion preload, which we just did by crushing the crush sleeve and setting that rolling resistance. There's pinion depth, which is the shim that's in there behind the pinion. We don't check that until the end. There's backlash, which is going to be the play between the ring gear and the pinion. And then there is carrier bearing preload, which is how tight the carrier fits in the housing, which we saw earlier when we removed it. And so we're going to make sure we have those all in spec, and that's what we're going to check now. So I'm going to take the carrier with the new bearings and races, and I kept our shims from removal on the left and right, and we're going to go ahead and start there. We might have to change them. It took a little tapping to get that in, so we do have some carrier preload. So you can't just pull it out by hand. It's nice and snug. And that clicking, that's what we feel there is the
backlash.
Play between the pinion and the ring gear, and that's the backlash. And what the backlash is necessary to allow the teeth to roll over each other. If they were too tight, they would dig into each other as they passed, and no oil would be able to get between the teeth and lubricate properly.
And if they're too loose, they'll whine.
Exactly. And the reason that there's preload that's necessary is under load, the pinion forces the ring gear away from it, and the more deflection you have, the easier it is to break things. And so if it's preloaded, it can't deflect as much.
And it keeps the bearings at bay, correct?
Correct. Okay. So I'm going to take our dial indicator. It's magnetic base, so it'll stick to the housing here. And I rock the gear. So we're at about 6 thousandths. I check it in a couple spots because we don't want it to be, you know, twice as much on one side or the other. That means we might have got something sandwiched between the ring gear and the carrier. Okay, so we're about 6 there. And the spec on this is 6 to 10 thousandths. So, okay, we're looking good on the backlash. So far we've checked our pinion bearing preload, our backlash, and our carrier bearing preload, which is just how tight the carrier fits.
So far, we're doing a good job.
That's right.
If our pattern's good, we're good.
We're good. So we're going to check the pinion depth, which is that shim in there, and we're going to put paint on the gear set and run it through to see where the teeth are contacting each other.
And you have to give it resistance. You have to hold the ring gear when you're turning it to give it resistance so it actually makes the pattern, okay?
Okay. So what we're looking at here is where the teeth are hitting. So you can see that we've got, what we're concerned with is between this outer part of the gear is called the face, and the bottom is called the flank, the root of the gear. And we're looking for the contact between here and here. Between here and here is, we can't really change as much with our shim. So we could try to, if you try to center this here, it's going to really affect where it's at.
On the,
yeah, between face and flank. So this one actually looks really good. So you can see how it's sort of a square or round. You know, it's contacting out here just as much as it is at the root of the gear. That looks pretty good. So the last few little upgrades that we're doing along with the gears and the limited slip is this Nitro diff cover. It's aluminum, made in the USA. It's an extremely beefy diff cover. It's aluminum, so it helps dissipate heat, keeps things cool. You can see the bottom flange is about 1 inch thick, so the bolts are recessed, so you won't round them off on the rocks. So that'll make a nice, you know, they also look good too.
yeah, absolutely does. And it gives you a drain. It gives you a little level area and a film.
Correct. The other thing we're going to do is, you know, since we had the axles out, we figured we'd upgrade them to a high-strength chromoly axle. So these actually come pre-assembled. They've got the bearing, the seal, the press ring, the retainer plate, and the ABS toner ring studs already in. So this will be a nice, easy bolt-in deal.
Here's McKees 37 Trademark Garage with Nick Rudder.
The last time you looked at your vehicle, were you happy with its appearance? We can improve that with the McKees 37 Wash Bucket System. This all-inclusive bucket system includes our dolly that the bucket attaches to so you can roll around the vehicle, the lid, which screws on, providing an airtight and watertight seal, plus the grid that sits at the bottom of the bucket. That way you don't have the contaminants swirl back up into your wash water. Now the backbone of the kit is the 3 McKees 37 detailing products that are included, starting with the foaming wheel cleaner gel. This is pH balanced, it changes colors as it cleans, so it dissolves all the brake dust particles. Crystal Vision glass cleaner, which is the best glass cleaner you'll ever use. No alcohol, no ammonia, it's not going to streak, and it works especially well around the house. Then, Power Wash. This wax-infused, thick, rich foaming shampoo safely removes dirt and grime by encapsulating all the dirt particles so they can be safely washed away. It rinses clean and it's going to prevent water spots. The kit also includes a soft wash mitt and a quality drying towel. And it's all wrapped together in this Made in USA wash bucket.
Folks, I'm about to show you one of my favorite tools that we use at Madavi Motorsports each and every day, called the Tight Reach tool. We use these for spark plugs on Ford Explorers where you can't get to the passenger side, Caravans when you're doing a radiator, or even the late model Hemis when you're doing header jobs. I'm here with Ewing, and he's got something special this season to show us, and it gives us a lot better clearance.
Sam, what we have this year, we just launched it here at SEMA. People were talking to us about using, getting some low profile sockets. So what we did, we invented these low profiles, so you turn around and stick it in like that, and you got about an inch clearance.
And that's perfect for when you're doing a Honda timing belt on a V6, and it's very hard to get to those 10mm bolts holding the front timing cover on. Or if you're doing a Nissan Maxima with the 3.5, and it's got the front timing cover where you have to reseal it because it leaks where the corner is at the oil pan. The Tight Reach tool makes it very simple for anybody to be able to go in and service those cars without any hassle.
And the thing about these tools, you have 8 metric and also 7 standard.
Covers the most popular sizes.
Welcome to the Brothers Truck Parts Workshop.
We've made some serious progress on our C10 LS swap.
Yes, we have, and we have a bunch of accessories that we bolted onto the front here, and I want you to explain this because even as seasoned as I am with all these classic car and stuff, I don't understand how you chose these accessories.
Well, we needed clearance for the radiator.
Right.
The truck accessories were about 2 inches too far forward.
Okay.
So to get rid of that 2 inches, you want to go to a sports car configuration.
Gotcha.
Okay, now depending on whether you're going to run power steering or whether you have future plans on doing an AC, most cases the AC sits on the top left of the engine.
All
and
right.
I like symmetry under the hood. I want you to see both things. So you choose a C5 or a C6 if you're running power steering. Gives you that symmetry. But because the C7...
Corvette stuff.
Corvette stuff, exactly.
Right.
If you want the symmetry and you're not running power steering, then you go with the C7 because it's got electric power steering. So therefore the C7 bracket bolts onto an LS3, which is basically the same head as an LC5.
Awesome. So what if you had a motor though that had the long snout that we had before?
Well, if you have the clearance, then you can run it and you save a bunch of money doing it.
And then if you don't, you go shopping for sports car parts?
Absolutely. GTO, C5, C6, C7.
And then this is expandable, so you could expand it if you wanted to?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It gives you a lot of different configurations, and in this way, if you ever need a belt and you're going cruising, you can get it off the shelf.
Awesome.
Any
This
local
is-
auto parts
Yeah,
store.
this makes it super easy. I was just a little confused about why we went this route, and thank
Now
you, that
you know.
clears it up.
Absolutely.
All right, so what I have though is the drop-in radiator for the LS conversion, and Brothers makes this, and it's key to use an LS style radiator for when you're doing the conversion because it has a spot for the steam port, and that's important for these heads.
It just looks better that way as well.
Right, and the cool thing about these radiators is they actually do just drop right in, and we make these for all the Chevy and GMC trucks so that the LS swap is really easy for our guys, and you can see that that just fits right back in. And then we modified the top bracket to give us a little extra clearance because we were short.
And don't be afraid to modify things when you're doing something this big on a classic car or truck, guys. Whenever you guys are doing an engine swap, there's always under hood temperatures that people worry about. There's a lot of overheating going on. This radiator is key to an engine swap. Aluminum, lot better cooling effectiveness here, except for we also went with a 160-degree thermostat because we're not worried about OBD2 emissions or anything like that. The factory has a 195. Dropping the underhood temperature by 35 degrees is absolutely huge. Then you add the Brothers aluminum radiator and you're golden.
Right, and we're going to use a Holley fuel injection and wiring harness. If you weren't, the Brothers radiator comes with the whole wiring so you can wire it up to your OBD2 system. and it'll run the fan and everything.
With a temperature-controlled ground circuit for the relay. It's wonderful. That way
Right.
you forget about it. There's no switch on the inside. It does it automatic.
Right, and we're not going to use that in this because the Holly takes care of that.
Absolutely.
Right.
You guys, when you're doing your radiator hoses, you're going to have to physically go to the store, take a coat hanger, and cut it up, bend it into shape. Go to the store, usually the bigger store in your town that's got the most radiator hoses on the wall. And you're just gonna have to pick a couple of hoses off the wall that's gonna match your swap. In this case, we needed 2 tight 90s. Even though you see right here it's tight, we're gonna have clearance. We clearance this, we have 1/2 inch in front of the water pump since nothing is moving and it'll all be stationary. We're not worried about anything rubbing there. And the lower hose is gonna be a little tricky, but there's lots of hoses on the wall and I've never been let down.
All right, we basically have our cooling system done. Water pump, pulleys, brackets, fan belt, everything. We're basically ready to move on to something else.
Absolutely. So make sure you guys tune in next week to watch us install the complete fuel system.
Sam's Garage, presented by Low Car Performance Products, is brought to you by KBS Coatings. Rust stops here. LMC Truck. Restore, maintain, customize. Parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks and SUVs. AVS, inventor of the vent visor side window deflector. Z-Max Micro Lubricant, the one product for your engine and fuel system.
You guys looking to do compressed air in your shop or your garage, look no further than Prevost. They've got it figured out with their all aluminum construction. They've even got a dual lobe self-lubricating O-ring that will make for a tighter fit, allowing for 232 PSI operation along with vacuum. So we've got our compressed air tube, we've got our nitrogen tube, and we've got vacuum tube, and they're available anywhere from 1/2 inch to 3 inch. The cool thing is the brackets that hold them to the wall allows for movement of the pipe because these things are going to expand and contrast. So you don't want the bracket to cause any problems with your fittings. And if you go onto their website, you can see that they've got installation kits for you, like these spanner wrenches. Makes it very easy to install. Just simply put it over the fitting, tighten it, turn it around, put it over the fitting, loosen it. It gives you a 3/8 connection, so in case you guys want to put a torque wrench to it. But the cool feature about it is that it will allow you to perfectly size your pipe with this mark and that ledge right there. Put a mark on the pipe, and then you know for sure how far to go inside your fitting. Will make for a good seal. So if you guys are plumbing your shop or garage, look at Prevost because they've got almost every configuration you need.
It's time for the Lund International Custom Shop.
All right, guys, we're ready to install the next item on our Ford F-150 project. I got Jason here to help me install this hood shield. Now, this is taped on. He's already done the cleaner. He's got the promoter in his hand. Same rules apply when it comes to the tape.
Yep. Alcohol and then promoter to help with the tape. This is an AVS Aeroskin, so it's designed specifically for the hood of this truck, and we have them for cars and CUVs as well. Now this hood shield not only provides protection, but also, see all these dings from this old truck?
Absolutely.
It covers them up.
Covers,
So it looks
no
like new.
paint needed. You guys take your time and install this properly because you only get one shot at it. So you want to make sure to line up everything on your side, and I'm going to trust Jason to line up everything on his side. And then you can slowly peel back the tape.
Voila.
You can barely see it's even there.
Looks good, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like you said, it covers up all our old dings and scratches,
Yep.
making the front end look really almost new.
Yep, limited lifetime warranty, so it'll last you a lifetime.
Absolutely. Man, Jason, that really put a nice touch on the front of that truck. You know what we need now? Some side window deflectors.
I brought some with us.
You did. Let's knock it out.
Let's go. Sam, I brought some low-profile vent visors from AVS. These are great products to have to let the fresh air in and keep the rain and wind out so you can crack your windows.
That is awesome. What I like most about these is when you park the car and it's a hot summer day, it'll keep the interior of your cab so much cooler than if you didn't have them.
Yeah, up to 20 degrees cooler.
Yeah, yeah. And this particular application is going to go in between the mirror and the door itself. So you want to make sure to put it in place, pushing it all the way forward. Okay, just like that. Lining up the back of it with the door.
Make sure your doors are clean with alcohol and have some promoter on there to help with that tape.
All right, and then you guys see that you have it in place. I gotta lift my tape up out of here.
And we recommend doing these in above 50-degree temperature because of the tape and the adhesion of it. And to wait 24 to 48 hours before you start adjusting the windows, especially on the inside mount window channels. These are on the outside mount, so it doesn't really affect the actual window, but stuff that goes inside of the window channel allow 24 or 48 hours for it to dry.
That's a great point. And now we have finished off the exterior protection, and this thing's gonna stay nice and cool in the summertime.
That's right.
Very cool. That's a really nice touch we put on this truck, but you know what? We're still missing some things.
Yeah, I think we need to hide a little bit of this chrome and maybe add some decals and striping.
Absolutely, and I'm thinking some sound. We need to change the exhaust with maybe a MagnaFlow exhaust. We need to put in a cold air intake, something like from Air Raid. That'll give us both sound and horsepower.
I like it. Let's
Man,
do it.
This truck is really coming along. I can't wait for the final reveal.
Let's go.
Absolutely.